Hi, this is Coach Chris Brown from Emergent Fitness with Thursday, March 24th's Coach's Corner. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about why a given fitness or training program quote unquote works. The audience for my presentation today is primarily regular people, people with day jobs and families, sometimes people who would refer to themselves as weekend warriors. Most of the material will still apply to athletes, whether you're perhaps a collegiate athlete or a hobbyist. Say your sport is tennis or long distance running, and there'll be some applicability to college students as well. At Emergent Fitness, we have a number of different programs that are continually evolving. We have our workout of the day that's based on a max effort black box style strength program combined with a conditioning program somewhat inspired by CrossFit. We've got our strength program currently based on the Texas method. We've got an Olympic lifting team. We have a number of rock climbers and other outdoor enthusiasts using our Summit Strength program. And then we have a whole bunch of other individuals following custom programs built around their specific goals, schedules, and limitations. And I often find that when people are looking at all these different programs that are available to them, they tend to ignore a lot of the reasons why a given program might work for them or why they might consider using one of them in the future. So that's what I'd like to talk about today. The first step in considering that is defining what works. And for me, the simplest definition is that a program that works is the one that you'll actually do. So if I come up with a really sophisticated program that might help you reach your goal in a very quick fashion, if it's boring or leaves you too sore or doesn't fit in with your work schedule, you're probably not going to do it. And if you don't do it, it doesn't work. Secondly, a program that works is one that is sustainable. Even if the program changes over time, it should be a program that you can do for an indefinite amount of time, or at least have clear stepping stones to the next program or a more advanced program. And then finally, the program, of course, should deliver results. And I think the third bullet is obvious to most people, but what may not be so obvious is that for many of us, it is third on this list of priorities. So over the long term, we want the program to deliver results, but a lot of us train for reasons that may differ from our results, or the results may be different than sports performance or body composition changes. Now, one caveat that I want to mention is today I'm focused primarily on training programs, and any training program is going to be influenced by what you put in your mouth. But whether a program works or not is often judged, at least in popular media, as whether you lose weight or not, or whether there's fat loss. And that fat loss has more to do with what you eat than it does with your exercise. And that's not to say that your exercise doesn't have anything to do with body composition changes, because clearly both are important. But on any regimented, well-designed program, if your food is right, you're likely to lose weight if that's the goal of the program. So let's look at some reasons why programs work. One set of reasons is that a given program might be new, fun, hard, or flexible. So a lot of people bounce around between programs because they like things to always be new. They like to have that variety. Oftentimes a program will work if it's a lot of fun. I think people get into a program that has a nice social scene, whether that's something like CrossFit or even something like Curves, even though those appeal to different demographics. One of the commonalities between the two is that they're often fun for the participants. People like to feel like the program they're doing is difficult or hard. Lots of people new to real strength and conditioning get excited because they have blisters on their hands or they can't straighten their elbows or whatever it might be. And oftentimes the programs also have to be flexible. We do have day jobs and families, and you may need to be able to come in twice in a week one week, but 4 times the next week, and those sorts of things. Other reasons that a program works is if there's role models. Again, I think this is one of the primary reasons CrossFit's been so popular, is that there's people out there that you can watch that are the same age, the same gender, and they're out there getting results and doing these workouts. A community or a social scene is often important for some of us for sticking with a workout program. Having some kind of progression, this ties in with what I mentioned earlier of whether a program is sustainable or not. And then related to what I said in the left-hand column about something being new, there's the idea of having some amount of variety to keep the program interesting. And you'll see there at the bottom this question of results. So clearly, results are always going to be important. And a lot of us would say, well, we'd never stick with a program for a long period of time if it wasn't delivering results. But that's true only if you consider results purely based on maybe how much weight you can lift or how much weight you've lost or those sorts of things. I've seen a number of people, both in our own facility and people who've told us stories about other programs they did, where they clearly were no longer getting results with the program, but they kept doing it because it was new or fun or it seemed hard to them. They had a community that they were doing it with. So it's important when we consider why a program works or what program we want to do that we really take into account what's important to us. And perhaps we may find that there's a balance between the variety or the fun and the actual results. And that brings me to the second caveat, is that what works changes over time for every individual. So there's a couple different ways that this can play out. Some people over time find that they have a weakness that they want to address, so they might get interested in pursuing a more strength-focused program, even if that means that the program has less variety, seems a little less fun. Other people may have a sport or a hobby. So if you're a skier, for example, what works for you is going to change based on whether it's the ski season or if it's immediately after the ski season, immediately before, or if it's summer. In the summer, you might be more interested in just having fun and doing a program that has a big social aspect while maintaining some of your strength. But as your season gets closer, you might want to focus more on workouts that are geared specifically to being prepared for your sport. And I think there's a continuum that we can use when thinking about this, and I don't know that fun is exactly the word I'm looking for here, but on one end of the continuum, I think there's this kind of fun priority, and on the other end is the goal priority. And this is not to mean that either of those is positive or negative. Different people will lean towards different ends of this spectrum depending on what their goals are or the time of year. So on that fun priority end of the program, people are often more interested in having a social aspect to their training program. They like to see a lot of variety. They are interested in competing both with other athletes, maybe on a daily basis in the workout of the day, or they're competing on benchmark workouts that they're repeating. It could be weekly, monthly, or quarterly. On this end, people are often interested more in having more flexibility in their program, so they might be able to only come in twice a week, some weeks, and 4 times a week another week. And then on this end of the spectrum, results are still important, but a lot of those other things are going to come before the results. So over the long term, this person would still be stronger and more fit, but they're going to stick with the program because of those other factors. While on the other side of the spectrum, where an athlete may have a more goal-oriented priority, they're going to be focused more on results, and it was a toss-up to me whether results or role models was first on this list. So people want to see results. If you do a really hard program to get you ready for ski season or to get you stronger and you don't get results, you're not going to be happy with that. The results in this case are usually a little bit more short-termed or focused on a specific single goal. People like to see role models on this end, so they want to see that this strength program has worked for other people in the past and it might work for them. Progression is more important on the goal priority end of the spectrum. People need to be able to progress their workout, whether that's by adding weight or changing the conditioning so that they know they're getting faster. I think the social aspect of a program is always important, so that still comes into play here. If a person can find 3 or 4 others who share a common goal, the group is likely to train harder and to do better. And similarly, we all like to have a little bit of variety, but if we have a specific goal and likely a limited time frame to achieve that goal, often we're willing to sacrifice a little bit of variety in order to get the results we're after. So as you consider your training programs and the future of your training programs, you might think about this spectrum and where you fit, and maybe you'd reorder these attributes of programs differently based on your own priorities. And if you want to learn more about this topic, you might consider attending our Choosing a Training Program seminar at Emergent Fitness on Sunday, April 17th from 9 to 3. You can learn more about the seminar at our website, www.emerfit.com. I hope this was useful, and we'll see you next week for another Coach's Corner.